What's up, Bobby? What's up, El Fuego guys? Let's talk about it. We're going to look at it and we're going to talk about it and we're going to have one heck of a good Sunday night. And let's roll the new intro. What's up, guys? I see El Fuego in the house. Got Joe Berserker in the house. Bobby B. Rick Ross. Rico. Dubby. Bobby B sitting. Got a little bit to talk about tonight, guys. Should have slammed that like button. What's up, guys? All right. So, we had a big old Saturday and things went well. I still didn't compete Saturday because I always compete in MSD4 uh, when I'm doing a Midwest SPL show, which is just basically a beginner class. But there are not a lot of rules to that class, and pretty much everybody there can enter in the MSD classes because the rules just are not that restrictive. It's like 3 or more subs, and you go into MSD4. Well, I have 3 or more subs, but they won't let me in. At least one particular organizer will not let me in the show, and who I will not name because he is a pretty cool guy, and I think he's a really nice guy. He does a lot for the bass community, but me and him just butt heads over the rules in that department. So anyway, another guy in another vehicle, it's an SUV, really similar to mine, has 615s on two 6,000 watt amplifiers and a wall. He is, however, allowed to run that class. Me with, two 8Ks on 415s and a B-pillar wall and almost an identical SUV, I am not allowed to run in that class. How about that? Anyway, so if I want to run, I have to run in one of the big boy classes. And I really don't give a crap about running in those classes, mainly because I don't want I want trophies. I don't like the little stupid plaques. I'm not a big fan of that. It's just dumb, and I don't care about points and all that stuff. So I just like to win a trophy every once in a while and hang out. And I like to give to the community that is putting on the show. So that's why I enter. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't even bother entering the competitions. I'm just out there mainly to demo and hang out, and have fun. But it is what it is, right? That that silly stuff gets on my nerves, though. But again, uh, me and the individual just do not. We just butt heads over the way the rules are interpreted, and it is within the rules for him to make adjustments to the rules on certain categories, and that's one of them. So he's totally within his rights to make those adjustments. Um, I just don't. The funny thing is, he told me I couldn't enter before he even knew how many subs I had or anything. He didn't know anything about me. He just met me. I was wearing this hat when he met me, which is my team hat. And I think that immediately put me out of that class because I had a team hat on, and he knew, Savage Sounds. He knew that team was pretty serious. So he figured if I'm wearing a team hat that I can't enter the Misty class, which is hilarious. I'm like, come on, dude. But it is what it is, and we ain't tripping too hard. I just wanted to mention that. So if you guys, are out doing competitions, you need to make yourself aware of the rules so that you can figure out which category your build fits into, and maximize your ability to fit within a category where you're going to do fairly well in. If you go in there with all the qualifications for a really big class and you don't have the stuff to back that up with, you're not going to do very well in that group. So you may want to squish back your build so that you can, be competitive in the group that you can fall within the rules of. Uh, Me myself, I think I can get into. I'm in the walled group, so that puts me in a pretty rough territory. But it is what it is. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. So let's see what else we're going to talk about. Oh yeah, we're going to step our game up this winter since I'm going to be putting in the sixth order, and I've been working on that design today, and I've got some basic kind of ideas of how I'm going to go. I think I'm going to be doing about 20 cubic feet on the bottom. Well, 19 and something. It's going to be close to 20 cubic feet on the bottom when the bottom ported chamber. And then the top, it's going to be around 30 cubic feet. So we're looking at like a 1 to 1.5 ratio, something like that, which is a pretty common ratio. And I'm going to be tuning it to probably around 24, 25 hertz on the bottom chamber, and the front chamber somewhere up around 45 to 50, somewhere in that range. That's kind of what I got in my head. I've already got my port size figured out. I'm thinking that I'm going to do 8 square inches per cubic foot. And I've got that dimensions of the port kind of sorted in my head. The top chamber is going to be a variable, so I want to make the bottom chamber a definite number, and then pretty much after I install the port, which is going to be mostly in the top chamber, whatever's left will be what I have in the top chamber. It's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 1.1 to 1.5 ratio, somewhere in that neighborhood. Now, the bigger you go with that top chamber, the louder it gets, but it's peakier. So if you want a really musical build, it's like 1-to-1. And anything away from 1-to-1, the further you get away from that, the more peaky it gets and the louder it gets, but the less musical it gets. So there's that. And that's why I'm kind of jumping into a spot where I think I'm going to have some pretty good peak, but I'm not going to lose too much of my musicality. I want a lot of wind and a lot of lows and some decent SPL whenever I want to really hammer it. Let's see what's going on in the comments section. I saw guys commenting. You guys are so awesome showing up on a Sunday evening and hanging out with this crazy fool. Um, I went outside today to because I just couldn't believe that I can fit a 48 in there all the way to 35. So I went out there to measure again to make sure in my brain that that's what I saw. And that's what I saw. So I got like 38 to 45, 48 to 34. I can build, and then like 70 inches deep. That's my chamber size, outside to outside. Um, yeah, it's pretty bonkers. So I went out there to measure that, and I also wanted to measure my my quarter wave. So we'll pull everybody up here. Bobby B says, "Yo, Fuego from the Pacific Northwest is in the house. W is in the house from the down under. W from the down under, man. Uh, I should play that song about the Vegemite sandwich. I was listening to that earlier today. It's such a great track. Man, that thing rocks in my Tahoe. Joe Berserker said, hey, what's up, man? Rick Ross, hey. Fuego says, we live. Let's see here, man. This thing's moving around crazy. I gotta get a new mouse. My mouse does jerky stuff with the wheel. www. Fill my wallet open up for some Slapz. Yeah, baby. Now you know what? I am sold on Slapz, dude. For real. I have no issues with running them. Jason said my battery post broke off my alternator. Eee. Ew, that's not an easy fix either, bro. That's a when you if you open up the casing on the alternator, that's a well it's as long as you're not afraid to go in, it's not terrible. You that big post is attached to I can't remember. It's attached to a component inside though. It's not, I can't remember what it's attached to, but it shouldn't be terribly hard to fix, but you'd have to order a part for it. Sorry to hear that though, man. That's why I stopped doing SPL competitions, W said. Uh, yeah. Idiots getting redos, yeah. Hey, Maine, I look at it like this, man. I mean, it's a fun thing, like all sports and all that kind of stuff is all something fun. When you don't want to take it too seriously. When you take it too seriously, then you've made it a chore, and once it becomes a chore or a job, it's no good anymore. It's got to be if you're paying to participate, then it should be fun. You shouldn't be having to go to work and pay to go to work. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. Some people get real serious about things, and that you know over time that really ruins everything. PSC, what's up, man? W said, good day. PSC says, I'm going to finally be doing President's third and last and final rebuild up. Pretty excited about that. We're excited for you, my friend. Before December, he says. W, favoritism and sponsored favored people get priority in SPL, and it sucks. They get what they want, the rest of us get stiff. That's probably pretty accurate at the bigger shows. I don't think it is at our shows, our smaller shows. There is probably a little bit of favoritism in certain things, but I don't really think those situations really affect everybody. And I'd say that because I've seen so many times where one competitor will literally back off the throttle a little bit and let the other guy win. I've seen that happen. It's happened to me before, So That people will sandbag just to make it a close race and stuff like that. I've seen that happen. I've seen people intentionally back off and let the new guy win, even when they didn't have enough power to actually get it, but they backed off and let them have the win, you know, and stuff like that. I've seen that quite a bit. Now that's corruption too, but it's corruption in the kind way. And whenever people are doing things like that, that tells me that winning is not everything to them, and that's what I like to see. So there's something to be said for that, but I don't think it's as bad of a problem. I'm just whining and bitching is all I'm doing, guys. Jason, it's rough. Where'd you go? We ran off. Jason said, I'm looking at getting a JS alternator, I think. Um, you might consider, there's a lot of ways I could throw you a bone. GP is what I've been running for like 3 years now. The Team GP 370, great alternator. But I'm gonna tell you straight up, this is what I would suggest doing if you really want to make something, get something and get a decent price on it. Is call around to some of the old school guys that rebuild alternators that fix electric motors, like an electric motor repair place, and get a price on one of them to build you an alternator. You have to bring them your existing alternator, and they go through it and redo it, rewire it to produce high amperage. You're going to get, most likely, if not exactly the same thing, something even better. And you're not going to pay nearly as much for it if you go that route. Just throwing that out there. Uh, Fuego, so you're going to run 6 Oblivion 15s on 3 Shock 8Ks and a 6th order? That's exactly what I'm going to be doing, except for the part that you just did not mention, that they were going to be the Oblivion version 2s. So yes, I am getting 6 more subwoofers. And I have some ideas on what to do with the 4 that I currently have. But yeah, I'm going to be putting 6 version 2s on 2 or 3 8Ks, 2 subs per amp. We've been doing the math on it, and there's some ballparking stuff in there. Some figuring. There's some trigonometry, and then there's some figuraноmetry mixed in. I made that word up. But what we're thinking is I'm going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of a 60. Maybe if everything goes really well, maybe a little more. If everything goes bad, maybe the high 50s. But either way, it's going to be a substantial build. Um, what's up, Jason? Let's see here. W, your song, Land Down Under. Yeah. The Vegemite sandwich. I love it, dude. Let's see here. W said, Iasca is just like that here, bro. Yeah, no shit. I had never messed with Iasca, but I mean, you know, um, Fuego said the $100 handshake with the judge is worth half a DB. Yeah, it could. I mean, how I say. See, the only way I can think of. Okay, well, there's other ways, I suppose, but what I can think of, let's say someone was going to cheat, and let's say the judge was going to help them cheat. Not out and out blatantly cheat, but like give them an advantage, right? One of the ways I can see a judge doing that, it would be putting the sensor in the car too far to the closer to the A pillars or down too low toward the dash. Those two things will give you some boost on sound pressure, but in both of those cases, it's visible to everyone out there what's happening. So it wouldn't be you wouldn't be able to hide it. Um, I don't know. It'd be tough, but I can see. I mean, I'm sure there's ways. I'm not familiar with them. Let's see. How can I understand ways to? Duddy said they don't even call out the names on the list here. I wasted $80 three times to get one single score. Damn it, bro. Well, we get that done here. Um, I can't really say that I've seen anything that seems like it was unfair or any unfair advantages, but I mean, I'm sure that stuff happens. I just haven't seen it. Let's see here. Jason said, using a splitter that stresses the post. No, he said he broke the alternator positive, the positive off his alternator. Um, I watched W said I watched all the newcomers get absolutely bummed out. Never saw most of them return for the next event. Yeah, and see that's something that I like about my people that I run with. Not just our group, not just our team, but our collective. Because we have a lot of people that are in our family that aren't on the team. Some of them aren't on a team at all. They don't want to be on a team, but they're still within our family. And I've got a pretty big. I got family that includes other teams, and all the people that we mess around with are pretty straight up people. You know, it's like if someone can be a general asshole and be okay at one of our events, but if they become a belligerent or obnoxious asshole, um, they will not stay the rest of the event. They definitely won't be coming into the next event. They will be asked to leave and made to leave if need be. Um, the whole family would just reject them out. And we all look out for each other. They come out there, people come out there and turn their kids loose, and they run all over the place. And they got 500 mommies and daddies out there in the parking lot, and any one of them knows who those kids belong to, and any one of them would protect those kids from anybody. You know, they'll listen to everybody because they know that they're all family, and that's how our whole group's run. So, you know, and I do appreciate that. Everyone's treats each other nice, man. It's good. It's a good family environment. We put a lot of effort into it. Let's see here. El Fuego. El Fuego says I put my money on the Slapz SmackDown sub up against the new recall. Oh yeah, yeah. I'd say I'd say I would I'd follow that, man. I would follow that. That recoil sub is nice, but good lord, it's expensive and it's not worth the price. I would say it should be priced around the same as the SmackDown. It should compare to the SmackDown, um, but I don't think it does. If it's going to be real close, that SmackDown sub is a freaking monster. Uh, and I could absolutely run the SmackDowns. The reason I'm running the Oblivions is mainly because I want to show you guys we can do with the budget alternative. Uh, I mean, taking the most expensive or wicked badass sub that a company produces and doing good things with it is one thing, but dropping down in the budget down to the mid tier or the lower tier stuff and then doing big things with that says something entirely different. So that's kind of what I got in my brain. Um, but yeah, I would absolutely have no problem, no problem. Um, PSC said way too many people sandbagging. We call those people cheaters. I'd rather be honest and truthful than lie and cheat. It is what it is, man. But if you're if you're sandbagging because like if you have some kind of class where you have a maximum SPL that you can run in that class, and then you're sandbagging to stay, zero point 0.1 dB under that maximum in that class or whatever, that's one thing. But when there's no maximum SPL before you get bumped out of the class, then I can't see any reason why that's a big deal. Um, I have a zero gauge coming off of it to the distributor. Two distribution block, I'm assuming, and two AGM batteries. My truck is an '05 Silverado. I'm not exactly sure. Have zero gauge coming off it, two distribution and two JM batteries. Yeah, it is the bolt that runs it. I can't think of what that thing's called. The voltage regulator? No, it's something else. It's a little. Anyway, I don't want to get into that deeply because that's not my. I'm not the one to talk to about that. But you can get it repaired even locally, man. If you find a motor repair, an electronic motor or starter repair, or an alternator repair shop in your area, those parts are actually fairly common. So it's not a big deal. Even if they have to order a part, it's going to be a whole lot cheaper than having to pay to ship something back, and then hopefully their warranty covers it, and then all the other stuff. I don't know. That's what I would do. That's what I've done. PSC is going all in with his President build. Yeah, no doubt, dude. Remember for 8 months? Hell yeah, man. Okay, what's up, man? Eddie Hernandez in the house. I got the Shock 3K. No complaints here. I can't bitch about. Like I said, I have no complaints about any of my Slapz gear, any of it. Amplifiers have all been stellar. Everything is just working extremely well. Nice to see you there, Eddie. Joe Berserker said I have a Slapz 2K at 2 ohms running 141 dB on a single 12 with a little lithium. That's what's up, guys. I'm gonna tell y'all, if you've got a system set up and you're struggling to get past a certain point, like you're having trouble getting more decibels or more sound pressure out of something. The most common problem is your voltage, your power that you're sending to your amplifier. That literally is usually your limit. You can have, a big 10K amplifier and a whole wall of subs, but if you're not able to feed 1,000 amps to that 10K, it's not going to produce what it's supposed to, which means you're just straight up not getting out of it what's possible. And it is literally for the person who's just getting into this stuff and just starting to build their first or second big build, the most common problem that you have, and you don't even know it, is you're not feeding your amplifier enough power. That's simple. And, honestly, the solution is always trunked under lithium, 5K or the 10K, or a custom bank if you want something a lot bigger or you want something to fit in a certain area. He builds all kinds of stuff. It's not just what those two are just the go-to models, but there's all kinds of stuff available from trunked under lithium. He does LTO and stuff too, if you're interested in that kind of thing. He does high voltage banks, 16 volt banks, all that kind of stuff. So there's way more than what we're talking about with just the basic LiPo for 5K and 10K. But if you are, struggling to get that thing louder and can't figure out why, head over to Trunked Under Lithium, pick up the 5K for anything up to about 8,000 watts, and the 10K for anything up to about 15,000 watts. And use my discount code CAE10 to save 10% off of it. And right now, if you order from Trunked Under Lithium, there is a bit of a wait time because we got more components coming in to build some more stuff. And there's a little bit of a back order on that. So if you order, know that there's going to be a delay, and anticipate that. But you're going to get a discount on top of the 10% discount for using my discount code. So you're going to get a deep discount, but you may have to wait a little bit to get your stuff. That said, get her done. Let's see. Oh, what we got going on down through here. Let's see here. Shit. Trap House TV, dropping the tacos, baby, dropping it.
Crushing on these tacos, we buy the Fiesta. Guac on the side, man, you know it's the best. Lettuce and salsa, stack it high, make it pop. Crunch in my mouth, can't stop, won't drop. Sliver scissor in, flavors cold is so sweet. After one taco, I'm in for a repeat. Bite after bite, got me dancing in my seat. Hitting up the taqueria, can't face defeat. Taco love in every single bite. Feeling good, every feast all night.
Oh, son, I do not know. Trap House says, I just bought a 2019 Police Tahoe. Man, you need to bring that sucker over here and just drop it off at my house. Yeah, I can take care of it for you. Just bring it over here and drop it off, and it'll have a nice home, and it'll be happy and everything. So, boy, that's a tough question, and I'm not qualified to answer that question. But he wants to know if he can, with his 2019 Police Tahoe, can he run his voltage at 15.8? Don't want to run two separate voltages. My RAM build runs voltage, no issue. It has to do with that year. I mean, you're stepping up to the years, the upper years. And as vehicles acquire more and more fancy electronics, there's more and more things that aren't going to necessarily like that high voltage. You could go back in the 70s and run 15.8 on pretty much everything. You may have to replace a couple of light bulbs, but it would all work. I mean, but as the computers and stuff, become more of a thing, what you could do, let me think about this for a minute. Okay, I think there might be a way to sneak around that. First of all, you need to do more research besides asking this country boy if it's okay. But let's assume that you find out that the thing ain't going to like 15.8 volts. So you could run a 15.8 volt alternator and your regular 16 volt or whatever, your 16 volt charging system. You could do that and then come off of the battery or off of a battery delete box with a 12 volt inverter, a step down inverter, which would bring it down from 16, 18 volts, whatever, down to 12 volts. And on that, you could literally, from that point, you could hook up everything from your truck onto that so that your truck would never see more than whatever the voltage was on the output. And then your audio system would see the 16. That would be running two separate systems, but and you could also, to make that even easier, instead of having a battery delete, you can use a 12 volt battery in that position and have your charging cable going through the step down box and then sending out power to that 12 volt battery. And that way you'd have a 12 volt battery to start the vehicle and everything with. And then the rest, you could do something like that too. Just be leery of charging high voltage because some of those systems in there may not be able to take that for a prolonged amount of time. And you do not want to have to replace something in there that blows up from over voltage or just blow fuses. You may start blowing damn fuses, and even the fuse maybe just, there's all kinds of weird stuff that can happen. So once you found out, there's some options to make it work, even if it's not supposed to. You can make it work, but be careful with that. And thanks for the donation, man. You can get oversized studs for alternators. Yeah, the stock is $1.20, I think. Let's see here. That's right, studs, post diameter. TaylorMade, what's up, man? So, is the Trunk Thunder Lithium 5K version 1 still available? No. None of the version 1 stuff's available anymore. That was basically the version 1 to the version 2 was just different cells. And then the version 2 to the version 3 is a new case and new hardware. It's basically how that stepped in. So anything from the version 2 and up is going to be available, possibly, but the version 1 stuff isn't. That said, the next question was, when is it expected? No idea. Probably a week or two, but that's a guess. Because, like I said, a lot of this stuff comes from imports from different places, and imports are all over the place right now. Sometimes it comes very quickly with no problems. Sometimes there's 2 or 3 weeks delay, because of different reasons. Tariffs is being one of the problems, and it's not because of the tariffs necessarily. It's because the tariff keeps changing. So as a shipment, let's say there's a shipment coming in from somewhere, and you're going to have to pay a tariff when you get to get it from the dock, essentially, right? You pay a tax on getting it in. But then they'll have it at the dock, and they won't let you get it because the tariff just changed to a different amount, and you have to wait until they figure that out, and then it might change again, so you're still waiting for that, and it's a huge headache. So it is what it is. I don't know yet. But as far as the stock goes, yes, they will be eventually, and there will be a nice discount on if you pre-order and be patient. You will get a nice discount on having that. Just know that if you pre-order, there's like a $30 fee. It isn't not for you to pay, but the Trunk Thunder Lithium has to pay that with your form of payment, your processing fee for your payment. So if you order and then a couple weeks later you decide you want a refund, he still loses that $30. He has to pay that, and he don't get it back. So, that's just don't do that. If you want to order and wait, that's fine, but don't order and then wait and then go, oh, I want a refund. Just don't do that. That's bad business. Anyway, hopefully that was helpful. Bobby B said, I've been out here since day one. Hell yeah, man. Tacos, baby. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, Joe. Let's see here. Approaching. I appreciate y'all helping with she's giving advice, man. We do our very best. That's the number one reason this community is the best community on the internet. It's because we help each other. These people are all wonderful people, and they're intelligent and educated, and they're all willing to help. So we appreciate you for showing up. You're probably going to have to try, maybe get a 20 amp power supply. Yeah, you can do that. I'd be worried about something exploding, though. And something may be slow burn, too. You may have something that works fine for a week or a month, and then it says, you know what, I'm done doing this, and just burns up. And then, I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say, man. I personally have ran 14.8, no problems. Oh, yeah, 14.8 all day. Vehicles are designed to be able to handle the highest voltage that your alternator can charge at. And these days, that's somewhere around that. But going up another volt, and that's 15.8 is a jump from 14.8. Some stuff may just turn off. It may just not work. Just turn off when the voltage is that high. I don't know. Turn knob. Yep, go slow. That'd be a good opportunity. My Escalade max is around 15.2 and 15.3 before the ECM starts acting funny. There you go. I would say that's a really good piece of advice, my friend. Can't, and Cadillac Don, he's one of the OGs in our group. So I have a lot of faith in what he says, and he's a good guy. Mine's a few years older than yours, but I've had McMahon do all my alternator charging at 15.2. I think that sounds reasonable too. Scott Gibson. I was originally going to do all DD audio amps to run my Def Bounce 8-inch Apocalypse mid range and fight 80 8-inch mid bass drivers. Like I said, over half the price on the Shock 2K. Yeah, yep. That 500 by 4. Yep, I'm running that in my Tahoe right now. Out there in that 90 something degrees the other day, just demo after demo after demo after demo, just kicking the balls of the system. I beat the brakes off of my shit. Okay, if you come to this show and get demos from me, you'll totally understand. If it don't break when I'm using it, it's not going to break. Y'all don't understand. I get out there when I demo, I don't hold back. My question is not whether I'm clipping or not. It's how deep into clipping I'm going. I punish the crap out of my stuff. Um, yeah, I mean, I ring it out, dude. I checked the temperature on my subs once yesterday, and they were like 170 something. Yeah, you know what I did? I did another demo. This guy just got out. I shot it, and I was like, I probably should cool these things off. And another girl got in the Tahoe. I said, let's, let's go. I don't, if the stuff is holding up under what I do to it, man, because I give it the beans, guys. I do, man. Um, I think Steve Meade's Escalade to 2019 would not tolerate voltage. He ran a step down converter. Yeah, exactly. He did a video on the latest step down upgrade a couple weeks ago. Exactly. Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. Something like that. Scott Gibson. I love how the Slapz audio amps are extremely small. THD is less than 1%. Absolutely. Damping factor still over 100. Yep. And they absolutely are, man. They're excellent amplifiers. You're 100% correct. Let's see here. Thomas said, welcome, man. I know you stated you're going to run 3.25 cubic feet on your sixth order build coming up. How many square footage am I planning on running the top side of the enclosure? Around 30-ish. I mean, I say ish because I ain't exactly sure yet. It's going to be around 20 on the bottom and around 30 on the top. So I got like 49.9 internal ish total. So I'm going to run 20 on the bottom and whatever's left on the top. Because in the top, I'm also going to be adding the displacement of the subwoofers will take up a little space up there. And the port is going to take up some space up there. So, I mean, it's going to be like a roughly 2-to-1 before all the diminishing bracing and stuff like that comes into play and the port and all that. So it's going to be somewhere between, a 1.5 to 2-to-1, somewhere between there. I don't know for sure which. I know that wasn't very helpful, but it's just the facts. I mean, this is the world I live in. I'm going to give the right amount to the bottom, and then whatever's left is going in the top. That's pretty much the gist of it. Joe Berserker, I live in Clip City, baby. And I get it. I mean, I try to keep my shit clean. I really do. But when the demos are coming, man, when I get caught up in the minute, and I want to just get that little bit. I push it into clipping, man. I just do it. I have my gains are like nearly maxed out. I control how much I clip with my knob, and I can hear it clip. I can hear it clip. I can hear it right when it starts to clip. So normally I turn it up until right before it starts to clip, let it clip just a little bit, and I back it back off, and that's where I do most of my demos. But when I get stupid, I'll push it on into clip a little bit and let it ride for a little bit, and then back it back down. It is what it is, man. It's not how you set up a build. If it's something that you drive every day and something that you jam every day, you don't set it up that way. You set it up to where you don't clip at the top of your knob, essentially. But for someone who pushes it to the very limit on a constant basis when you're in events, and knows how to hear when things are happening and how to control that, and understands that different tracks have different limits, all this stuff comes into play. When you can hear the things happening and you understand it, you can kind of take these training wheels off of it and push it a little further. But you also have to check your temps and monitor your temps and all that stuff. And you need to run gear that can take a beating too. I mean, it is what it is. Do I know anything about the ZVXs from Scar 15s? Not really, no. I could start talking about them, but I don't like speaking on stuff that I don't know about. So I'm sorry, but that's not my category. There's a lot of people really like them, but I stack Slapz up against them all day long, and actually better price. And that's whenever you're beating Scar's price, and at least giving the same or better performance, that's saying some shit, man. So, yeah, hopefully that's not very helpful, but I just don't know. I don't know enough about them. Thomas said, yeah, I proofread that. Joe Berserker, bandpass builds get altered as you build. Exactly. That's what I was trying to say. It's just gonna evolve. I'm gonna lay the foundation down by getting the bottom piece fitted to where it's working perfectly, which is going to establish the front and back and side to side of the box, and getting that bottom chamber nailed down, the port tuning nailed down. And then the rest of the top chamber is just going to be whatever it is when I get done. I'm going to push all the errors, okay? All the screw ups and all the errors and all the rough rounded calculations are going to get pushed into that top chamber, and it's going to, whatever it eats up, that's what's going to get ate up. So it's going to work. And then when I get done with that, my front port's probably going to be tuned way too high. I'm going to probably have it wide open, because I really don't give a shit about that 45 hertz or whatever. I want to blow low wind. I don't really care too much about that top frequency. So I won't sacrifice a ton of openness. I want that openness. Anyway, I know we'll get to that, but that thing can change. That front port up there in the cab, that can change quite easily. I can modify that as I want to and get it right. I just got to get the back one nailed down to that sweet spot. That's what I plan to do. Cadillac said, I forgot to show you guys my finished Ford Explorer police interceptor doors. Check it out in your email. Oh, did you send me some email? Let me go see. Hang on. Let's see here. What did you do? I got to find the right thing. Attachments. Oh, the doors? Are you talking about the inside? Let me see here. Did you send me? Oh, yeah, you sent me that one. Okay, that one. All right, there's those two images. Yeah, let's check out Cadillac Don's doors. Those look good, man. Hopefully I don't screw up the transfer, so bear with me for a second. Let me see if I can do this. 'Cause I'm bad at this. If I lose audio, y'all don't freak out. Just tell me about it. Place. Screen share. Window. I'm back on 2. All right. We're going to make sure we keep audio. Yeah, everything looks good. All right. So this is one shot of the doors. And looks like we got a couple of projects sitting back there to the side. And here's working on them right here. Those look really cool. Don's doing some good work. Don, you want to come over here and do my doors? We can have a door party. So let's take a closer look at that, maybe. Oh, yeah, we can dig in a little deeper. Dig a little bit deeper. That black diamond, those are black diamond tweets and the DS18. I know those. I know those drivers. That's the DS18 Pro Audio. Um, those suckers are loud, man. I've heard there's several companies that are running this speaker. DS18 is one of them, but there's at least a dozen companies running the speaker. But that doesn't mean it's a bad speaker. It's a really good speaker. It's got a lot of bark to it. It should be, man. You ain't messing around. You're gonna get the volume out of that. I do like the way you have them bolted. The panels are all bolted on. That's some heavy duty stuff, man. The sound deadener and everything. I mean, not the sound deadener, but the bed liner. That looks real good. Of course, you ain't got them screwed in right now. You just got them sitting in here. But, you know, what I'm going to throw out there, if you got these big old bolts, when you put these guys in, you might consider using some Torx heads on them because it'll kind of emulate the bolts. And it kind of like some black Torx heads. I think those would look cool because they would stick out just a little bit, you know, and it would sort of work with the industrial vibe of those bolts. Just throwing out ideas, man. Just throwing out ideas. So let's see here. It looks good though, man. You did a good job. Let's see here. Oh well. Figure out what's going on. I suck at this. All right, we're back. All right, let's see here. Looks good, man. Where am I at? Okay, we gotta find my place here. The Ford Explorer police interceptor doors. Yeah, dude, that's hot. Can't hear it clipping, but I can smell it. I can't smell. I have no sense of smell. I'm not saying that like I literally can't smell anything. My smeller's broke. So because of that, I have to be very diligent about keeping an eye on my temperature and using my ear. But I can hear the clipping as soon as it starts to clip. I can hear the very faintest amount of clipping. I've gotten so good at hearing that. I can hear a clipping sometimes before the clip light comes on, which I know that's bonkers. Sorry, trying to figure out where I'm at here. There we are. Joe Berserker. He said, nice caddy, Don. Hopefully Gary will let us see it. Yeah. Well, we did what we could. I showed you the doors. My plan is to do, TaylorMade said, my plan is D34 up front, the 5K in the rear, no isolator, okay, and a 350 amp Apex alternator. Good in the winter without taking out trunk down lithium. So Pre-order and a V2 V3. Those cells that are in the 5K and the 10K are rated down to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Um, I don't think your car is rated below that temperature. So, like the motor oil that you have in your car isn't rated below that temperature. So, if you start it up at that temperature, you're probably gonna damage the car. Uh, yes, they'll handle the cold. If you're not, like Alan says, if you uh, uh, but basically anything when you get down below freezing, like deep below freezing, the performance will drop some, but it won't damage anything. So you'll lose a little bit of the performance, but you're not going to cause any damage. So yeah, you're totally good. Do not run those. Oh, no sound again. Hang on. All right. Sound? Yes, sound. No sound. Mother. Let me jump down here. Somebody tell me sound or no sound. Sound? Uh, do, 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 do. You got to tell me, man. Okay, yeah, y'all can hear me. Okay, because you obviously heard that. Yeah. All right. I thought maybe I'd lost audio again. See, I told you I'm on top of that, but I was second guessing myself uh, because somebody said it. I forgot who now. Okay. Shows up. I'll be deaf from his eyes, right? Don ain't messing around, dude. Uh, that's those speakers have got some. Yeah, El Fuego told me no sound. Um, how cold does it get where you're at, Taylor? Sometimes zero. Yeah, you're good. Let's see. There you go, man. Some great looking doors. Yeah. Um, Don said, I plan to come meet you one day. A good day. Thank you. It's 42 speakers in my 4 Torx head. I like that idea. Yeah, you see what I mean? It looked good, man. Um, I just think it'd be cool. It would match the build, the motif. You could even do something like if you got some plaques in there, like I don't know. I can't even picture the damn thing in my head, but if you got like an acrylic plaque or something, using those Torx head bolts on that to kind of give it that whole machine vibe, that industrial vibe, that'd be cool. Let's see here. I'd appreciate it. I want to see you. I'd love to see you and check out your build and just hang out, man. I mean, straight up, any of you guys come see me, give me a little bit of heads up, know about it. We'll go somewhere, grab some food, float hair, do stupid shit. You know, I, I'll hang out with anybody. I don't have any problem with people coming by. Just give me a little bit of warning so I know. I don't want to answer the door in my underwear. You can, you know, which I do that all the time, actually. It's pretty cold. You might talk to Brendan. Yeah, there's not an issue, man, Jason. Those sails are actually designed for the Chinese military, so they're designed for Siberian winters. That's why they're have such a cold rating. One of the reasons that Brandon runs those particular cells is because of the ridiculous cold rating they have. It makes them pretty much foolproof for anybody in the United States. That's his way of thinking. They have a real high C rating. They're very reliable. They're robust. They have a really good cold temperature rating. All of these things are important, and that's why he uses those cells. And we've had deep conversations about this. because I'm someone who has caught a headway bank on fire in the wintertime. And so I was very, I took him over to Coles, man. I made him answer lots of questions, and we've had long discussions about this. I know about the cold rating on these things. Um, some old school sound stream reference amps on those doors would be sweet. Yeah, no doubt, dude. Um, yeah, there really are good sales like that. You're nothing. There's nothing cheap about what Front Under Lithium builds, dude. There's nothing okay. It's all really, really good, well designed, well engineered, well thought out, well tested, solid shit. I mean, it just is. Yeah, that's me. I'm an idiot. Justin says sound is good. Sound is good. You're good. You're good. You're good. Everybody says I'm good. Thank you. I appreciate all of that. So you're saying no isolator. So you're saying no isolator would be on in my case. Let's see. You're saying no isolator would be on in my case. You might, well, there's multiple ways to approach it. A step down voltage converter, or, but for, as far as the cold weather, no, you don't need an isolator. If you're driving it on a regular basis, so that you know if you got an AGM in there also, it's not going to be an issue. But you can always pull the AGM out and just run off the lithium battery. You just run power wires and ground from the battery to the front. Have the battery inside the vehicle; it doesn't get located under the hood, and it'll start your vehicle and run your vehicle just fine by itself. But you could run it with an AGM, and you don't need an isolator as long as it's something that you're driving, fairly often. If it's a barn car where you park it during the winter and it sits there for months at a time, just unhook the damn thing. You don't have to worry about it. But if it's something you drive at least once a week, it'll be fine, man. Running without an isolator. Fuego said road trip to CAEHQ would be awesome. Dude, you know what? I'm hopeful. I'm really hopeful that here in the next few months, we may we may be able to move into a slightly bigger place. Hopeful of that. But if until then, we will continue. That's a slim thing, but it's possible. Let's see here. What should I bump on my way home? Oh man. How about old school Too Short? Life is too short. So was the one about the corn on the cob? Yeah, bump that shit. I can't think of what it is. It may be life is too short. Something about just look up Google Too Short corn on the cob. I can't remember the rap no more. But yeah, that's a good one, man. W said a 40 hertz sine wave and pink noise. You guys are messed up, man. Oh no, Rick Ross, 13,000 hertz test tones. Oh no, dude, you want the poor guy to get like homicidal or something? What the hell? And a fire extinguisher. Hell yeah, dude. Just installed my trunk jungle lithium, breaking in subs, and now volt holds well on 2 amps at 50%. Hell yeah, dude. I don't know what you got there, Joe. Fire extinguishers. Okay. When I put them up on this thing, you're big enough for me to see them. Hell yeah, man. Resting voltage between LiPo 4 and AGM is very close. If you drive it regularly, it should be fine. Absolutely. Park for a week at a time. Weeks at a time. Yep, that 100%. Oh, Rick Ross said Pink Floyd. You could do that, man. Pink Floyd, yeah. I mean, I get it. Yeah, for real. Actually, I was a wall guy forever and ever and ever. But I started listening to Dark Side of the Moon and the remasters of Dark Side of the Moon. Oh my god, dude! Some of the concerts on YouTube. There's some really good, well mastered, well recorded concerts on YouTube. If you guys want some good background tracks, just find one of those and let that shit rip in the background, man. And on a good computer setup, it sounds so good. So yeah, I dig it, bro. I dig it for real. Uh, Rick Ross says, "Ear bleeders. Where's the guy with 82 tweeters when you need him?" Hey, no, we got a guy on our team. I've got a video up of his Jeep last year, not this year we're in now, but last year. And it has like 100 and something speakers in it. The build now, we haven't seen it much of it yet, but it's absolutely ridiculous. He's on our team. He's got like 260 something speakers in this Jeep. So like just holy shit balls. Hang on a second. Hang on a damn second. I'm gonna bust it out, guys. Bear with me just a minute, and I'm gonna pull it up here. Let's see. I'm gonna pull it up. Yeah, he had 118 speakers last year. Uh, I need to take a short break, so I'll put this video on for you guys. Let's see here. Let me do it this way. Do 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 do. That's not the one we wanted. What are we doing? What is wrong with this? Holy mackerel! Hmm, that might be it. Okay, hang on. Yeah, yeah, entire screen. Yeah. We ain't on it though yet. Why we not do it right? We didn't do it right. Oh wait, no, that's not it. That's what she said. Dude, I have the hardest time sometimes. I'm just a I am a controlling operating. Oh wait a minute, that is the right video, but it's on the wrong. Okie dokie. We're going now, guys. Here, check this out. Yeah, guys, he's crazy. And again, he's got more than double this now. The really impressive thing, though, is when you hear him play, it sounds like a band is in the parking lot or like a DJ. It just it's a very very full range. Uh, oh, I am sorry about the audio and the video. Um, it but let's see here. Basically, I'll just kind of talk about it because I do apologize. But the audio is something to do with the way I've got it showing to you guys. I don't know why. Sometimes it gets messed up when I do that. There is the video is on my channel though, so if you just on the channel just search Jeep, you'll find the video. And you guys can see it. Basically, he's just telling me about the stuff. He's got, I don't even remember, like 50 amplifiers or some crazy number of amplifiers. He's got amps and stuff hid under the seats and in the glove box and all kinds of places. There's 100 and some odd speakers in there. He goes to Jeep shows and does a lot of that stuff. Now, right in here, there's going to be some audio, but again, you guys can't hear it. And I apologize, I didn't set it up the right way. But the point is, it's crazy. And right now, it's more than twice as crazy as what you're seeing. So, yeah. Let me see here. I do appreciate you guys for not shooting me. I had to run off. I have old man bladder. And I had to go walk the dog, you know. Um, so what I'm working on right now, and what's consuming my mind on a constant basis of late, is I've got the equipment will be coming very soon, and I've got to have a design nailed down, figuring out how much wood I need, how I'm going to buy that, how I'm going to get it home, where I'm going to put it at, where I'm going to do the build, when I'm going to tear out the current build. So many different levels and layers that I'm working on. But today I did some measurements to figure out what my quarter wave is. So essentially what you do is you measure from the place where your port is, your back port, the furthest one away, measure from which, that'll be the one that's up inside the sixth order. Measure from that to the glass, and you can get what your quarter wave is going to be there. And then you just use a quarter wave calculator. You can do the math too. It's not a big deal, but I just use the calculator because, technology. You want to try to get a quarter of the distance or a quarter of the wave to be done. And what that looks like is it's like this. So maybe I should use this hand. So here's your wave, right? It goes up and then back up to the line. So it starts out on the line, goes up and then comes down through the line, goes up again and comes back up to the line. That's a whole wave. So a quarter of that wave is starting out on the line and going up to the top right when it crests the first time. That shape right there, that's a quarter of a wave. That's basically the waveform that you need to be able to get the maximum amplitude. So whatever, the lower the frequency is, the longer the wave is. And if you're trying to get a certain frequency to hit, you want to focus on the frequency that is a quarter of a wave inside your vehicle from the source of the sound to the microphone or the head or whatever it is you're measuring with. That way you can get the full quarter of that wave, the first lump of that wave, and maximize it. Now, this is a theory, and a lot of people will argue about quarter wave theory. But I figure if I'm going to do it, I might as well add that layer to it too. So my quarter wave is around 28 hertz on the glass and around 29 to 30 hertz at your head, which is fine. That's a nice boost. So with me tuning my port, if I was wanting to maximize output, I would tune my port to that frequency range, 28 hertz or so. That way that 28 hertz would be just ringing, right? But I am a little bit more of a flat guy. So I'm tuning my port at 24. So my port's going to have a boost at 24. And then at 28 to 30, I'll be getting that quarter wave boost. And then once we get up to that 40 something range, 45, 40 or so, I'll start picking up that front port. So that'll give me a more of a flat kind of a thing going on. So that's how I do it, and that's what I'm thinking about. T. Corley said, last I knew, Smoke has a regular cab Chevy with over 120 or so speakers, might be more now. Changed vehicle. This guy's got 260 speakers in there now. It's just it's insane. But like I said, when you hear the thing in the parking lot, he's got speakers on top of it now. He's got a whole thing. It's cool. He's got everything lined. You know how a line array works? Guys, line arrays, man. Essentially, a line array. That kind of works. So imagine this comb is a stack of speakers. Speaker. Okay? However many in the top stack. And then you got, when you put this bend in the bottom down here, it's more bent toward the bottom. It's kind of like this with a bend at the bottom, which you can't see because my thumb's in the way. Now, so imagine it's kind of like a J, but it doesn't go all the way down. It's just sort of a little twist. Well, if you're sitting up close to the stage, you're sitting up in this area right here, these speakers down at the very bottom are going to be pointed at you. Only the ones at the bottom, because you're really close and that little hook comes down, and those speakers will be pointed down toward the people that are right up at the stage. Whereas if you're sitting way out here in the auditorium somewhere, the speakers up in the top that are pointed that direction are going to be giving you their sound, but you're much further away. So you're going to be getting the effect of, however many of these are out this way, but up at the closer part of the stage, you're going to be getting the effect of one or two. So the speaker shape, that line array, will disperse sound in such a way that it's even for everybody in the audience, whether they're close or far away. It's a very brilliant thing. Well, he's doing that in his Jeep. It'll be out in the parking lot. It'll just be kicking you in the face. But as you get closer and closer to it, the alignment of the drivers will start to shift away from pointing at you. And you won't perceive it getting louder and louder as you get closer, right? It's really, really taken a lot of time to make this happen. So I don't know, bonkers shit, and we've had a lot of discussions about it. Let's see here. I think he needs a bigger vehicle. Now he'd just put more speakers in there. He's just filled up that one too. He actually can do some pretty good SPL in there with that plastic roof. He has like literally no roof, but he can actually get pretty loud up in there SPL wise. And I want to tell you right now, if you want to If you want a mind melting, jump the hell out of a vehicle, like I am not staying in this vehicle, he can put you in there and let you hold your hands over your ears and still run you out very, very quickly. Um, See, that thing is insanely loud on the inside, just crazy. So, uh, Bass Fanatic Lee, what's up, man? Nice to meet you. Trying to understand cabin peak frequency in relation to my sub enclosure. Okay. My cabin peak is 37, but I don't know what that means. On music, it sounds amazing and cheap. Got you. Man, cabin peak is almost it's kind of a mystery bag. It has to do with quarter wave. It also has to do with your vehicle's resonance, your resonant frequency of your vehicle, and every one of them has a different resonant frequency. It has to do with resonance of your panels. It has to do with the harmonics, stacking harmonics, and there's a whole lot of magic pixie dust mixed together. Unfortunately, I don't know enough about sound to really do any justice toward explaining that, but I can tell you, how to test it. Um, and you find the peak. Just put a subwoofer in a sealed enclosure, set it in your vehicle. You know, start running the sweep on it, find out where the SPL is the highest, and that's going to be pretty close to your cabin peak. Then, if you tune anything to that peak, it's going to be really, really loud at that peak. On the other hand, if you're wanting to run it for music, and you're not just trying to make the absolute loudest sound that you can make, then you want to probably tune away from that peak because you want to use that peak as a filler for other areas. And like if your peak is at 35 hertz, you might tune to 30 hertz or a little lower, um, just so that you can use that peak as part of your normal level and then boost the ones below it. That way it's a nice smooth level. Of course, if you're trying to maximize this PL, then you want to tune it at that peak. That way you can get all of the power at that frequency. So it just kind of depends on what you want to do. Uh, yeah, Joe Berserker. El Fuego said, my brain works a quarter wave, I think, most days. I got out of bed. That was my peak today. Line array, yeah, Joe. Um, yeah, okay, yeah, Jason, yep, that's exactly what, yep, there you go. Read what he said. He's 100% right. Dave Rat shows visuals on how sound disperses with arrays and subwoofers on stage. Super interesting to see how it all works. Oh, dude, that rabbit hole goes deep, 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 deep. Um, Soundstage guys use a lot of cancellation. They use they use line arrays. They use phase cancellation. They use phase cancellation to control where the sound is going to be loud and where it's not going to be loud. They set up subwoofers in certain distance apart, and then they'll flip phase on them and create these cardioid and different cardioid patterns, so that they're putting the sound where the audience is, but not over here and over here. It's crazy, and you can do that with bass. Most of the time you think about bass, you think, well, it's just going to go everywhere. It's going to radiate everywhere, and that's true. But you can also manipulate it so that it doesn't radiate everywhere. You can make it cancel itself. Very cool stuff. Those guys are amazing. Yep. Oh, Jason's still going on about it. Read what he says, man. He's the man. He is the man. Talking Cabot Peak. Dozens of RTA measurements in my navigator. Exactly. Dude, I'm the same way. I've noticed that. I've noticed that. It don't matter. It don't matter what. My peak's always going to be like right around that same peak every time. Uh, Eddie Hernandez, talking cabin peak. I'm running 3 6.5 hyphonic Brutus subs, pumping 142.5 dB at 38 hertz. Off three 6.5s. That's nasty, man. That's a nice setup. Uh, Little Brutuses, huh? Hell yeah, dude. That's nice. Uh, on music and a convertible. Oh hell yeah. A Mazda RX-7. Sweet, dude. You could drop that thing off in my driveway too. Park it right beside that 2019 Chevy Tahoe that's going to be parked out there. Just pull it right in beside that one. I like the RX-7s, man. Uh, that was sweet. Jason said that vehicle size related peak. Yeah, with a sub box tune lower, you can get a new peak frequency. It's a combination of the vehicle and the box. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Uh, and the vehicle also, besides its peak frequency, it also does other things. So, like if you modeled a box or a tune, say you modeled a sixth order tune or just a regular ported enclosure tune, and you got that that peak where it comes up and drops off. Being in the vehicle, you're going to get what they call cabin gain, uh, and it's always going to give you some low end gain. So even though when you're modeling it, you may see it fall off real hard on the low frequency end, that cabin gain, which happens always, is going to boost that area and fill that in a lot more. So you don't have to worry about tuning really, really low to get low. Even if the chart shows it's going to be dropping off at 30 hertz, your cabin gain is going to come in there and fill in some of that low frequency stuff. But what won't happen is you won't your sub won't have as much control, because if you're tuned like at 35 hertz and cabin gain is giving you like the 20 hertz range as well, just remember when your sub is playing that low, even though the cabin is going to kind of resonate it really good, it doesn't have any control. It's playing below tuning, and it's just going to be like a free air sub. So you have to be mindful of that. When you're not tuned to that frequency, your sub is just playing free air. So there's that. Let's see. I know, dude. I agree, Joseph. That's very impressive. Um, that's a good box and a good build. That's whenever you do everything right. You know what I'm saying? I mean, big, huge subs and big, huge power can make up for stupid. And pretty much all of us have at least a certain amount of stupid that we have to make up for somewhere. But when you eliminate all the stupid and you get it all right, you can do a whole lot with a little bit. Oh my God. And I'm an old white man. I know all about that. 100%, man. It's all about the box. Anybody got any questions for me? Hoffman's iron. Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Hoffman's iron law. It goes, let me think about it a second. I want to get it right. You got power, you got box size, and you got lows. So basically, you can't have all three. So it's efficiency, to get it right, it's efficiency, low frequency, and small box. So you can have a small box and play lows, but you're going to have to put a lot of power on it. You can have a box that don't require a lot of power and plays lows, but it's going to have to be a big box. You could have a box that doesn't take much power and doesn't have a very big box, but it ain't going to play lows. That's the iron law. Um, and that's always in place. So whenever you figure out how to get all of that to work, now mind you, that law was something that he came up with a long time ago. And since then, we have developed and invented and refined and engineered our way out of that law to a degree. This is back before the subwoofers had enough motor force to produce low frequencies in a small enclosure, which is when people started using isobaric subwoofer configurations. So you could take a box that was half the size that it's supposed to be, and you stack two subwoofers front to back like this and wire one out of phase. So what would happen is you were taking the single sub, you were doubling the motor force of that sub, but keeping the same cone area. So with that isobaric configuration, you could shrink, you could beat Hoffman's iron law. You could cut the box size in half and still get the same lows. More or less the same power. But then whenever Kicker, Stillwater Designs, to be specific, when Stillwater Designs introduced the Solabaric subwoofer, that was a driver that had twice as much motor force as the average driver of that size, meaning it could do what an isobaric configuration could do by itself. So now that driver could fit in half the enclosure size of one like it by another type of driver that was similar to it and still perform like it was in a big box. That's one of the things that made Kicker as a company, eventually the name was Kicker, so big, was the Solabaric design driver. Of course, everybody built those after that. They quickly caught on, and they couldn't really like lock that invention down, right? That patent was not something they could just lock down. But they were the first ones to really do that. Of course, the ass kicker from Stillwater Designs was their first big foray into the world. And that was a little truck box that had a 10. I hope I'm not wrong about the size, but I'm thinking it had a 10-inch driver and a 10-inch radiator. I'm one of the few people in this group talking right now that actually had one of those and behind the seat when they first came out. So, yeah. But that was their first really big damn deal. And then the Solabaric sub was another one. Let's see here. I know I went off down a rabbit hole. But I can go deep in those rabbit holes. I find all of it very interesting. Doing my acronym MDX next. Octagon enclosure. 212s. I love it. Oh yeah, I thought he was involved in that. And I couldn't remember, but I'm pulling it out of my head, guys. Um, I have a lot of crazy shit stored in my brain, and I ain't right on everything, but I try to at least let you know when I ain't sure. Joe Berserker said, "Very nice, Eddie. Heck yeah." Hostile hair. I built an isobaric box for a Mustang, two 12-inch MTX Blue Thunders in 2003. That's pretty insane. I mean, you could still do an isobaric configuration. It's just gotten to the point now to where when you cut a box in half again, there's just not any room for the magnet on some of these subwoofers. Let's see. Bass Fanatic Lee. Hey, thanks. I've noticed that the frequency music sounds best and loudest at that frequency. Thanks for clearing that up a bit. Prefab is tuned at 33 hertz. New custom enclosure will be tuned to 34. FS is 33.5. That's going to be pumpy. Nice, man. Nice. Um, Sounds like a good setup, man. Let us know how that goes. Uh, if you're doing a custom enclosure, if you're not going to build it yourself, you could always consider GP's true spec boxes. GP Audio, look into their true spec stuff. They may have one that's right, perfectly made for what you're running. And appreciate that, man. I'm Joe Berserker. Uh, yeah. And see, that's a logical isobaric. Two piles. And I know piles are uh, usually not looked at as being very good. Funny thing about that, though, I have found that if you want something to sound good, not necessarily get crazy loud, but sound good and be very efficient, using those very lightweight, cheap subwoofers at low power um, can give you really, really good quality sound. So I don't fault them, man. Especially, if you want to take some car audio stuff and use it in your home with a lot less power than normally would use it in a car, put it in a bigger cabinet than it's made for, you can get some really good sound out of them. So they all has their place. And I ran with the old stuff. I did the market, subwoofers $39.99, amplifiers just $20. Yeah, that radio commercial, everybody's heard it. Everybody's heard it. And you know what? They knew exactly how to have that show when I didn't have no damn money. Like, it couldn't have been a 2 weeks before when I got the big, I had a no. It comes right on the weekend when I am broke as shit. But yeah, I bought that convention center stuff, and boy, you talk about, oh my god, that's some bad stuff. But if all you're going to be doing is severely underpowering some subwoofers, it's really good to get those. You can get. See, we'd go to the furniture rental places, and they would have these great big old tower speakers that you could rent to own at like Rent a Center and shit. They had one set that was like 215s and had two little six and a halfs or whatever, and had a big old bullhorn tweeter at the top. I went in there one day and I got, because a lot of times they'd get stuff in that was damaged. People blow the speakers and it would go back in the back room, and then didn't wait for months until they got some replacements and all that. I'd be like, hey man, how much do you want for them two with the blown speakers in them? The woofers are blown. How much you want? I get the two big old tall cabinets with like a bed liner on them and the hard metal corners and all that shit, the wiring in there and everything. And I got the two of them for $50 for the both. Uh, and I took them suckers home, and I went to one of those shows and I picked up some. I don't think they were pile. They were something. They may have been pile. They were cheap as hell. They were like $20 a sub or something. I picked up four of them, put them in there, and holy shit, guys, those things sounded great. And man, I loved them. Never did blow them or anything. Our house burnt down and lost all that stuff, but those things sounded phenomenal, man. 215s and two 6.5s and a big huge bullhorn tweeter. Uh, I had a little 200-watt amplifier that I run my shit through. I rocked the whole house, dude. Uh, Agreed. Very efficient. But even as efficient as they are, they're also consuming a whole lot more power. But power is cheap now as well. As long as you've got the electrical to support the amplifier that you're using, power is cheap. And getting the power to the amplifier is not cheap, but the amplifier's power is cheap. Uh, it is what it is. Oh yeah, Walmart Roadmaster. Oh man, they sounded so bad, dude. I had all that that cheap Walmart stuff. I put it in all kinds of shit, and it always sounded like ass. And I was like, oh man, and I was thinking, no, it's going to be great, and it was better than what was in there, no doubt. But it sounded like shit. My cousin got a Ford Bronco. He had a Ford Bronco, and he put a Clarion stereo in there, He spent some money on it. It was all Clarion. It had a little power booster under there to add a little more kick to it. It's probably putting out like 10 watts or some crap, but it had zero bass in the system, zero bass. But his mids and highs were on point. And he had this one track that I always loved listening to, and it was by Loverboy, and it was called "Take It to the Top." It starts out with this synthesizer that goes wow 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 wow. I yeah, I know it's not one of the big songs, but I remember that he'd have that sucker cranked, and I mean it was just in your face, really cool. I learned early on uh, that good shit costs money, but I blew a bunch, man. I have no idea how your name is pronounced, but we're just going to call you G. I got two American based Hawk. Kind of disappointed. Hooked up to the Cab 22. Thought it was going to be louder. My electric is all bone stock, and that's where your problem is your electric. That's almost always the problem, guys. It's like if you spent the money and you got some decent shit, and it's just not. It's your electric, man. You need some lithium. You need something that can take a lot of power and feed it out quickly. AGM just ain't going to cut it. It's just not. Get you a trunk turner lithium, 5K. Uh, that'll fix you up, man. I have a cheap prefab with an external PVC port that I can experiment with. Oh yeah, and try different lengths and tuning frequencies to find what sounds. Yeah, absolutely, man. It's fun to mess around with external ports. Jason said, I got to go. Later, everyone. Have a good night, Jason. Uh, how about 8 Radio Shack boosters stacked? Anybody did one of those? I did it all, bro. I don't think I ever did that. I have put a couple of Roadmaster power boosters together before, but I don't think I've ever done that one. Let's see here. G says my 2 American Bass 15 is not loud at all. Yeah, that's fairly low for 215s. Again, it's probably power that your electrical. I stacked the Roadmasters. Also, Harris said, uh, I just got my Slap Smackdown 15s. Things are insane. Yes, sir. I have. Oh man, I got the gas going on. I took a big old long drink of Diet Coke a minute ago, and it's all coming back to haunt me. My truck is now hating life. You guys are fun. Let's see here. I stacked the Roadmasters. Um, 4 and a 1980 Oldsmobile Omega. Oh my God, I'm trying to remember what that thing was. Omega was no, I don't think it was the one with that weird trunk. Uh, was it Oldsmobile that had that one that had the cut off trunk that was all weird looking? It was I want to say it was Oldsmobile. Had that slant, you know. Uh, let's see here. Yeah, no doubt, bro. Uh, what's up, Brett? Brett Watts said, "What's up?" 169 at 21 hertz. Uh huh. Yeah, I bet you did. Yeah, baby. Yeah, you got that working on, man. Yeah, the Buick version. Yeah. See, I was thinking. Um, yeah, I can't remember, man, but there was one that had that weird chopped off trunk, and I could have swore that's what that was. I was more of a Ford guy back then. I had all the LTD and the Mercury Marquis, the LTD 2, the Thunderbird. I grew up on them big old 70s model Ford cars, man. Uh, that was my jam. That's what I always found. Always found those for sale in the price range, and I just loved the way they looked, man. They were, and I still do. I wish we had seats like we did back then, man. Because the seats in them old cars, man, you could kick back in that seat, and and it was just comfortable. It was a couch, you know, and now it's like, I don't know, man. Priorities. Everybody has different priorities. Gomez, what's up, man? Do you think there's an SQ difference between a 3K budget, 400 budget Class D sub amp, and an $800 3K, both from reputable names? All right, now let me read back and read this. Between a 3K, 400 or $800 3K amp, I wouldn't judge the equipment in any way, shape, or form by the price. Uh, so, I mean, there could be a total difference between the two, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the more expensive one is going to be better. Nor does the name brand necessarily mean it's going to be better. Um, and I try to caution, don't buy an expensive thing thinking that because it's expensive, it's going to be better. Because that does a bad thing to the industry. That teaches the industry that raising the price on something will make people think it's a higher quality and they're a lot more likely to sell it. And that's not what we want the industry to do. You know, price the thing relevant to what you're getting, and mostly that is how it is. But knowing what you either got to trust somebody who has experimented with the equipment or has used it and can tell you, or an independent third party, or you've got to learn yourself on how to pick apart the details of the equipment and figure out the things that are going to make it better for what you're looking for. Um, those are the only two real ways to evaluate something like that. Um, as far as and so price doesn't always mean anything. It's not a bad indicator, but it still doesn't necessarily mean anything. Like this little, if I pull down the thing here, which is not going to let me do, there we go. This little Slapz 4 channel right here, hanging on the wall back here, is $100. And it sounds every bit as good as any 4 channel I've ever used. And that thing's a monster back there. And I'm impressed with this thing, this Hayanka. Cheap amplifier, 1500 watts. I'm impressed with it. I haven't had it in a car, but I've had it cranked up in here, and it does what it's supposed to do. I don't know how much power it's putting out. I haven't metered it or anything, but I mean, I know it ain't very expensive. I don't know. I can't remember what the price was. But I mean, price doesn't always mean anything. That little DSP right there, it's like $110. It's a great DSP. Price doesn't always dictate quality. I mean, I don't know. It's all I can tell you, bro. It's the best way I can explain it to you. 6 SmackDown 15s and a flat wall, that would do it. Each sub on Assault 8K running C-Max and McMahon alts. Okay, yeah, it's possible. I'll buy that. Yeah, I'll buy that. But that's still a tough number to hit. That's a tough number. But yeah, a flat wall on Assault 8Ks. Each sub on Assault 8K. Yeah, that's a lot of power. So yeah, with a good build and everything, yeah, I can see that happening. That's a loud son of a bitch, I'll tell you that. Any good site to buy lithium? He makes good lithium batteries. It's easy to hook up. It's easy, trunked under lithium. That's the go-to. But right now, there's a back order. So if you go to Trunked Under Lithium, my discount code CAE10. And understand, though, that there is a bit of a wait because we're waiting on a few of the different components to build batteries with. And it could be a week or two or a month. But you'll get a discount by pre-ordering, and then whenever the stuff comes in, you'll be first in the list to get your stuff. So it'll come, you're going to get a good deal. You're going to get a solid battery, but you may have to wait a little bit to get it. And it's unknown right now, but it will come. Just a heads up on that. Had T. Corley said, had started stereo competitions in 1978 Ford LTD2. Man, I had that car. I had a gold one. I had the gold colored one. Had the vertical headlights. And I had pictures of it, but I don't even know. I think they're all gone because I lost, like I said, there was a fire in my life and I lost everything from that point back is pretty much gone. And I was in my 20s, and so I lost a whole lot of cool stuff. Unfortunately, did not lose my life though, and we didn't lose any other humans in that fire. See here, but you're bringing back memories with that car. I drove the shit out of that car. It's a great car. Hey, while my 200 amp fuse holder melted, I'm running 0 gauge power and ground. Almost guarantee you that your connection to your fuse holder or the connection of your fuse to the fuse holder was loose. Something was loose in that connection, either going into the fuse holder, coming out of the fuse holder, or the fuse itself where it connects to the fuse holder. One of those 4 connections was loose when you started, or it got loose. And on the same note, I would also guess that it's one of those where you stick the wire in the fuse and you screw a little screw down to hold it on. And I would also guess that you're probably running CCA wire. Any of those things are bad, but it's very common to have all of those things together. But yeah, it's most likely a loose connection and a really badly designed fuse holder. Pick up a regular A&L style. Look for an A&L style fuse holder with the flat fuse. One side's got a hook and one side's got a little thing like that. And pick up a good solid one of those with the A&L fuses, and using lug terminals instead of the wire going into the hole and the little set screw. Use actual lugs on it. Eliminates that problem and you won't have that issue anymore. Let's see. My first car was a 1973 Chevy Vega. Oh, goodness. The Vegas. With a 15-inch sub and a Jensen 250-watt amp. See, that shit didn't exist when I was... There was no car audio subwoofers. That didn't exist. You couldn't buy a subwoofer. But it's good stuff, man. But yeah, that's cool, man. I like my bi-nines. I go, man, it's no problem, my friend. Hostile Hair is out of here, and we're going to step on out. Guys, I had a wonderful night. I hope you guys enjoyed yourself, and let's get the duck out of here.
Subwoofers are getting loud. You can feel the boom getting ready to go. Got it shined up for the show. Power's charging, amps are amping, gonna let the woofers blow. Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. And another one goes, and another one goes, and another one bites the dust. We got more at home. Another one bites the dust. Eyes are glowing and the amps smoking. Subs are cherry red. Let me keep jamming, gotta keep the bass slamming. Gonna go hard till they're dead. Full power, gotta let it go. 20 hertz in the floating air. Sparks are flying, voice coils are frying, and the smoke is in the air.
Yeah, baby. I know all about it.
Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. And another one goes, and another one goes, and another one bites the dust. Hey, we got more at home. Another one bites the dust. Got it. Got it. Boom.
Let it rip, baby. Slapping it.